Naturally, these homeless people accepted $50,000 to go buy boots, and so they were arrested for terrorism. They do need to kill a few people every now and then to keep the war on terror going, to keep their budgets flowing. So, yeah, I don't think it would be a mistake when some of this live ammunition that the FBI regularly gives happens to go off.
Of course, all terrorists are Muslims, except the 94% who aren't. Most terrorism in the States is actually white extremists and, above all, freedom fighters in Puerto Rico, colonized after the USSS main false flag. The reason you never hear about them is media's been told not to report it, or the other bigger causes of death. The National Safety Council points out even bee stings or slipping in the bathtub are more deadly. Yet $5 trillion is being spent in the so-called war on terror against Muslims, killing thousands of soldiers. Dr. Barrett, is there a better way to spend that $5 trillion?
Well, sure, of course. I mean, you're much more likely as an American to die in your bathtub from drowning or to be hit by lightning than to be killed by terrorists. So if they really cared about your life, they would declare a war on bathtub. We lose a 9/11's worth of people from tobacco every 2 to 3 days here in the U.S., and we lose a 9/11's worth of people from automobile accidents every 28 days. So, I mean, these are the real threats to life and limb. All terrorism is not even a statistically significant threat, and Muslims commit 6% of the terrorism in the U.S. Extremist Jews commit 7%. So actually, Jewish extremists are ahead of Muslims in terrorism here, but you never read about that in the newspapers because guess who owns the newspapers?
Why are false flags so effective?
Humans mostly don't want to engage in aggression against other humans. I mean, just as dogs will stop attacking another dog if that dog gives a sign of surrender, humans are wired to fight viciously in their own defense and the defense of their families and their communities, but not to go out and fight equally viciously in an aggressive raid. For that reason, unscrupulous rulers who want to convince their people to engage in aggression need to convince their people that they are the ones who are under attack.
Under attack, Americans are by troops. The Pentagon has suspended America's historic Posse Comitatus law, which banned troops being used against US civilians. Tanks are for the first time on the streets of America, and Black Hawks with Hellfire laser-guided missiles on lawns. Citizens forced out their homes by soldiers, but wall-to-wall troops didn't find the suspect. A man went out to smoke and accidentally found him in the garden. But drones over Boston are now a great idea, says Police Commissioner Ed Davis. Former Marine Corps Officer Professor James Fetzner, thanks a lot for joining us. What do you make of all this?
The use of the military and a martial law version on a city historically known for its liberalism, where the vision of military forces going door to door without warrants of these weapons and vehicles in the streets of Boston, that was one of its major objectives, and it bodes very ill for the future.
Just as people were being forced out their homes, the House was ripping up the Fourth Amendment. The rushed-through CISPA bill now permits invasion of privacy without warrant, departing Congressman Ron Paul.
Big Brother writ large, cutting the resources of private industry to work for the nefarious purpose of spying on the American people.
And that was the plan all along, says the leak on the day of the drill.
Warning, laws being written to screw you. I work on a security commission. They're going to pin this event on a male late teens to early 20s. They're going to say he used powder for the explosion, and it shouldn't be for sale. They won't find the suspect till later this week, and the raid is issued to occur on Friday. This was a staged event. The event was planned.
On Friday, the raid occurred as predicted, and that same day, the Senate brought in legislation to regulate gunpowder. Let's speak to StoryLeaks' Anthony Gucciardi. You've interviewed witnesses and military intel about this. What do you think of the moves?
The major explosive materials are common. I mean, you can explode flour if you want to. You can explode pretty much anything and make it a weapon. We've seen that before. But yeah, they're using it to go after this agenda to restrict certain freedoms. I mean, let's put it like this. I'm not a super gun crazy guy, no question. But if they manage to take away the Second Amendment, then they can take away the First Amendment as well, which is freedom of speech, and they can take away the Fourth Amendment. And no one's talking about them. It's a complete media blackout.
You will not be able to stay home, brother, because the revolution will not be televised.
People say they're more afraid of the government after this attack than terrorists. Millions have gone online angry over the military precedent.
Look, they're everywhere. Look up the street. They're like all up there, too. Jesus.
But mainstream networks aren't allowing a single discussion of troops rifling through homes, preparation for new wars, and martial law in America. This is the Truthseeker.